Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar between CrowdSec and BunkerWeb. We are going to talk about the partnership that we have between our two companies and how you can enhance your ingress security and stop mass attack using both our products combined, BunkerWeb and CrowdSec. We will start in 1 or 2 minutes to leave some latecomers to arrive in the webinar. So we'll start at 4:03 Paris time. Maybe I could say some stuff during this minute. We are both French companies, but we are going to do this webinar in English, sorry. So hang on to your seats. There will be some sexy accent, some usage of faux amis, like we say, and whatever makes the charm of French people talking English. I just hope that you will all understand what we are saying. Don't hesitate to ask questions in the chat. We will answer them as soon as we can, and there will be a dedicated session at the end for questions and answers. I will start now. I will start. So welcome again, everybody, to this webinar between BunkerWeb and CrowdSec, talking about enhancing your ingress security, stopping mass attacks with BunkerWeb and CrowdSec. I'm Julian. I work at CrowdSec. I'm Deputy CTO, and I oversee integration with different partners and of our solution as well in different vendors to send our data to make any interaction possible to enhance security in various tools. With me, I have Florian and Theo. Yeah, Florian.
Hello, everyone. I'm Florian, the CEO and founder of BunkerWeb, the company behind BunkerWeb. I'm really happy today to showcase and show you, tell you more about BunkerWeb and our partnership with CrowdSec.
Hi everyone, and I have a really difficult name to say in English, but let's just say Theo. And I also work at BunkerWeb as a tech lead.
Thank you, Theo. Let's dig deeper into BunkerWeb, maybe, Julien. Yes, so BunkerWeb, you can think of it as a security shield for your web application, or maybe your web services, as we said in a more technical way. In other words, it's a web application firewall for the most technical of you. Please note that BunkerWeb is open source. The core is freely available under the AGPL v3 license. Let's dig deeper into the solution. So the typical way to use BunkerWeb is to place it in front of your existing web services. By doing so, all requests coming from the network must go through BunkerWeb, and BunkerWeb can detect if something is suspicious or not. And of course, if something is suspicious, it will block the request, and so your web services are all safe. You can use BunkerWeb to protect APIs, websites, classical one, or even web apps. In fact, you can use BunkerWeb to protect everything if it talks the HTTP protocol. Not only it will protect from attackers, but it will also help you to apply security best practice. In other words, it's a multi-purpose reverse proxy with security features in mind, security first approach. And now Théophile will give you more technical details about it.
So let's talk about the 6 pillars of BunkerWeb. First, one of the most important one, it's open security. So what is open security? It's the security by being open source. So because the the solution is open source, the code can be easily audited by third parties, but also we have a community that is behind that reports potential vulnerability to us. Another pillar that is important is secure by default. What does it mean? It means that BunkerWeb by itself comes with a bunch of already defined default settings that enhance web security in general. Agnostic means that BunkerWeb can be installed on a bunch of integrations like Linux or any container-based integration. You can have a Docker or a Kubernetes. You can also easily configure all the aspects of the WAF by simply setting an environment variable, or by checking a box on our web interface, for example. There are two different ways of configuring BunkerWeb. You can either use config files for CLI fans, or use our comprehensive web interface for a more user-friendly way of configuring it. BunkerWeb is also really modular. So this modularity is made by plugins. BunkerWeb is based on plugins. For example, by default, it has 38 core plugins that have a bunch of different features like a blacklist, a request limiter, or even an anti-bot. And it can also be extended with external plugins, but I'll talk more about it later. And finally, the last pillar is the services. We have other services around BunkerWeb, which are a pro version that features even more plugins for professional use, professional support, and cloud-based services. Now I'm going to talk about, thank you. I'm going to talk about BunkerWeb core features. So as I said earlier, BunkerWeb features are encapsulated into plugins. These plugins have a specific order of execution, as we can see on that schema. And in the end of all this checks, the request is either prompted with a challenge, or the request is accepted and then sent to the reverse proxied service. And like I presented earlier, these features can be easily extended via what we call external plugins. The most relevant external plugin for this webinar is obviously the CrowdSec plugin. Let's talk a bit about CrowdSec plus BunkerWeb. The CrowdSec plugins permit to have a seamless integration with the CrowdSec security engines. It has multiple integrations available, like Linux or Docker, and offer the best of both worlds concerning web security. I'll now let Julien explain how the CrowdSec security engine works.
Okay, thank you, Theo. So some of you might already know CrowdSec. It is at its core also an open source project, and our open source software, the security engine, is a behavior detection engine. What it means that protection comes from analyzing either your logs or, for the AppSec features, your HTTP request locally in your infra, and detect scenarios of attack from basic user enumeration to scalping to even things deeper like post-authentication misbehavior on a Kubernetes cluster, things like that. There are a lot of different scenarios of attack which are community-driven and validated by CrowdSec team of experts. This security engine detects bad behavior, it triggers alarm, and they are being blocked at any level, but in the case of the integration of CrowdSec within BunkerWeb, it will be blocked by BunkerWeb. Additionally, the CrowdSec security engine can talk to the CrowdSec network, it will share the signals of attack. It will say, at that time, this IP tried to do a brute force. At that time, this IP intended to do CV number 2024, etc., etc. With this shared knowledge, we are able at CrowdSec to build a community block list by consensus. And this community block list contains the most aggressive attackers against the network and are actionable block that we can perform. And again, it comes together into the remediation at the bunkerity level, meaning that you will block what you are detecting is attacking you directly, and you also benefit from the IPs that are attacking the rest of the CrowdSec network. In bunkerity, CrowdSec reads the log from Nginx and it blocks at the Nginx level. But if in your infrastructure you want to plug CrowdSec to more of the service, you can read log from virtually any source, Kafka, Kinesis, SSLog, etc. And the remediation can be done anywhere. If you're using bunkerity, of course, it will be done at the heart of bunkerity, but you could decide to block in your firewall, in your CDN, etc., etc. What we can do with our community knowledge of cyber threats is also build specialized block lists. I told you about the community block list, which is the top most aggressive attacker against the network. But of course, they are not the only IPs that are attacking the network. We receive over 20 million signals of attack per day. And from those 20 millions, we identify between 15 to 25 million attackers. Those attackers, we are able to categorize them, understand if they are part of a botnet, understand if they are rather focusing a country or another, if they are focusing an industry, is it rather healthcare, retails, etc. And from that, we are able to build additional block lists that you can subscribe to in order to block even more attackers proactively before they even try to find a CV or a vulnerability on your server. Those block lists can be sent directly to the CrowdSec security engine within your BunkerWeb. It can be sent to your firewall, or it can be sent to BunkerWeb itself, because BunkerWeb supports the integration with our block list. So rather that you are either you have the CrowdSec plugin activated on your BunkerWeb or not, you can still benefit from CrowdSec block list by subscribing to them directly into your BunkerWeb. Another reason for our partnership with BunkerWeb is that we offer a console allowing you to manage your cybersecurity, your infrastructure and your stack, offering various cybersecurity tools like monitoring of the alerts that are hitting you with the reason of the blockage, with some statistic about the other activity it has performed, etc. And also provide you a list of our block lists to easily subscribe to them and handle it from a web UI. Other services like creating your own block list and sharing them with other CrowdSec users are part of the enterprise plan, which will be jointed with bunkerity Pro Plan in our partnership. The last thing is, of course, that BunkerWeb and CrowdSec are able to share different scenario of attack and different intelligence about attackers and render both our network more secure. And finally, let's go back to this integration of CrowdSec plugin within bunkerity.
Yes.
As CEO, yes, Florian?
No, just to say that as CEO said, and you started to say it. So as CEO said, BunkerWeb comes with a modular approach, and that's it. We have a plugin for CrowdSec, so it can both read the logs that BunkerWeb is generating, and as you said, Julien, we are based on the Nginx beyond the hood, and so when CrowdSec will do the job, we can detect, take the remediation part of CrowdSec, and then we can block the request. Maybe, Julien, you can talk a little bit about the virtual patching.
Yeah, just before the demo that Theo is going to do of CrowdSec and BunkerWeb installations, what CrowdSec brings to BunkerWeb is additional detection. CrowdSec, as I told you, detect behaviors, so it's different from rules that might be a bit more generic. And by default, of course, it will have Nginx and HTTP scenarios detecting various CVEs and bad behavior that are known on this HTTP scope. But also, if you use the AppSec abilities, completing the WAF features of BunkerWeb, we have our own WAF rules. And our big plus is our collection of virtual patching rules. Virtual patching allow you to block attempts of CVEs, of vulnerabilities, directly at the request level. This way, it gives you some room to breathe, and you don't have to rush trying to update all your software on which we've discovered a new vulnerability. You can just benefit from the virtual patching from CrowdSec, and it gives you time to test that the new version is compatible with your apps, take time to deploy this new version. The reactivity of having virtual patching gives you some time to plan your actual update of software. And on top of that, we've got an easy AppSec rule creation. If you want to create your own AppSec rules, I don't know if some of you here have tried to meddle with mod security rules, but they are pretty complex to set up, and it's quite hard to test them, and you always fear to have false positive. We created a really easy DSL that is testable, and that also allows us to quickly test and integrate the rules given by the community. And now in the demo, Theo is going to show you how the stack works in general, and maybe a bit later we'll see how we can enroll BunkerWeb in the console and see what it looks like.
Okay, or maybe I can start with the console since we talk about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Good idea.
Let's do it. So, is everything working? Yes. Can we see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So here I'm inside the CrowdSec console, and in fact, the My Security Engine 2 is a BunkerWeb instance. It's not a CrowdSec engine. It's a real BunkerWeb instance. And I can use the same account alongside my other security engine. So if you already use CrowdSec, you can have both your BunkerWeb instance and your CrowdSec instance in the same place. Before digging deeper into it, let's talk about the block list. As Julien said, we only need to connect a generic firewall. So let's name it BunkerWeb, for example. But the recommended way is to do it with the CrowdSec agent. Julien, tell me if I'm wrong. If you already have a CrowdSec instance, okay.
If you have a CrowdSec installed in your BunkerWeb, you can just subscribe your instance to the BunkerWeb. If you don't have a CrowdSec, you create an integration like Florian is going to show you.
That's it.
And then you just put the credentials in BunkerWeb. It works the same way.
we just need to copy it and force a URL, a specific URL where we put both the username and the password on the same URL. We passed it into BunkerWeb and everything is working. BunkerWeb will take care of updating and getting the block list from CrowdSec servers. But what's more interesting, it's that if I click on my BunkerWeb engine here, I can see alerts. I can see all requests blocked by BunkerWeb. As we can see here, we have a scenario. So it's the reason why BunkerWeb blocked the request. And we have even more information, such as, yes, because we are in anonymous mode, we can see the information. Okay. But we have information, what CrowdSec called the context. It's the information about why BunkerWeb blocked the request. And what's interesting, it's that when I click on an IP, of course, I can access the whole CTI services from CrowdSec. And so I can see that it's a malicious IP coming from Poland, and I can query the API to have even more information. So it fully integrates into the console, and it's like having a real CrowdSec engine, but it's a BunkerWeb one.
You can maybe turn off the anonymization for the CTI page to
only
be
for
more explicit than
yes.
tag. Information you might want to know, depends if you do inspect what's happening. You can see that this IP has been observed on the whole network for doing HTTP scans and brute force. You can see that it has had a spike of activity in August, and now it's been a bit less aggressive. But because we rate it malicious, it means that it's still very active on hundreds of our users. Basically, malicious means that without a doubt, you can do a remediation on this IP, at the very least a CAPTCHA to slow it down when it tries its brute force. But malicious, we can recommend to ban it. And as you see, it's targeting France mainly on most of its attack with something that looks like 90+% focus on France.
And I can confirm that our BunkerWeb instance is located in France too. Theo, maybe you can show us more about how we can use the CrowdSec plugin besides the console.
Yes, in this example, it will be like if you have a web server that is hosted online that has either CrowdSec and BunkerWeb installed as a Linux, but in this example, it will be with Docker containers. If I can start it. Okay. Can you see
yes,
my screen?
Perfect.
Okay, so I have a web server that is hosted online, but has containers running both BunkerWeb and CrowdSec. I'll show you the compose file that I used. In our compose file, you can see that we have a my bunker container having the BunkerWeb image and the container that has the BunkerWeb scheduler. Here we can see that we download our official external plugins from our repo, and that we configured CrowdSec to be the CrowdSec API to be contacted by BunkerWeb. If I go down a bit, we can also see the CrowdSec container, of course, that is going to be contacted by BunkerWeb, and that also will have access to BunkerWeb's logs via syslog. I'll show you the configuration files, like for example the syslog configuration file. As we can see here, it's a simple syslog file that's just going to take the logs from the container and write them inside a specific file that is going to be read by CrowdSec afterwards. As we can see in this acquisition configuration file, the CrowdSec is going to read the logs inside that file with the labels of type Nginx. So if we look at the logs already of the container, we will see that it has been running already. Just this, yes. And I'll for the demo, I'll execute a specific command tool that is called derb. What is derb? It's just a command line based tool to brute force any directory based on word list. And it's the perfect tool to showcase the power of BunkerWeb coupled with CrowdSec. On another terminal, I'll execute derb on the web server I have online. As we can see, we can already see all the requests that are made to the server. We saw that in the beginning, the requests were accepted as BunkerWeb had its other security plugin deactivated for the demo sake. We saw that CrowdSec already had specific decisions on the IP address. And when it started to decide to ban it on its side, BunkerWeb started also denying access to that IP address. If we check the decisions made from CrowdSec, we can see that the reason was an HTTP crawl of non-static files. And that's about it. You just have to have a CrowdSec container, a BunkerWeb container that has the appropriate settings, and everything will be analyzed for you.
Okay. Florian, we had a question asking where in the BunkerWeb web UI we would add the URL of the block list. If you can showcase this.
Okay, yes. Or maybe Theo, do you have an UI ready to go?
I think we have a good example of one of our tutorials. In one of our tutorials, yes, just getting the URL, sorry. Okay, yes, as you can see, I'll share my tab. I can. Can you see what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So in our tutorial, we explain how to make BunkerWeb compatible with the new CrowdSec integrations features. Sorry. So like Florian explained, it's really like what Florian did earlier about the block list and the integrations. But if you scroll down to the BunkerWeb UI parts, you can see that if you set the blacklist IP URLs settings to the value of what the CrowdSec integration URL is, BunkerWeb will request the CrowdSec API to download the IP address and then block them as a blacklist plugin.
Yes, that's for the blacklist part, and for the CrowdSec security engine part, I am popping up the. Okay, I have it. I can share my screen, and you will see. Up. Okay, can you see my screen? So
it's loading. Yeah. Oh yes.
Okay, so it's the BunkerWeb user interface. And if you go to a service like that, to example.com, you can see here the CrowdSec, and we just need to enable CrowdSec here. So maybe you can disable CrowdSec from certain websites if you want, or you can enable it globally. And if you want to configure the API address of CrowdSec, you go to the global settings because it will apply to every web service. You go here, and here you have multiple settings. So you can enable CrowdSec globally on all your web service protected. And here you have the famous CrowdSec API address, the key, of course. You can even choose if you want CrowdSec to be in live or stream mode, if you want to be up to date in real time. And the AppSec port that Julien talked about is configured here. So if I remember well, I don't remember the port, the special port for the AppSec component. Julien, do you remember it?
I think it starts with a 4 or something.
I
4, 7.
don't have it. I don't have it in mind, but it is
Yes,
in the
but
documentation. We'll add the documentation.
It's another one because
in comments.
HIT is for the API. And we can also configure the failure if for something or else, if we have a 500 error, if we let the request or no, if we decide to deny it. So I think it's pretty straightforward. It integrates very well. And it's just the beginning, I think.
Yes. Okay. Let's now have some question time. Have you got any question? Was anything? We went very fast on all the technical aspects. If you've got any question about what behavior, in what way behavior detection is different from other kind of rules, if something wasn't clear about the advantage of virtual patching on your server, you can ask us in the question or in the chat.
I hope, Ali, I hope that we responded well to your question. Everything was clear. That's why we don't have any question.
If there are no questions, thank you all for participating and for joining this webinar. And stay tuned for all the new features in BunkerWeb and CrowdSec, and also about our partnership. Thank you to you all.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.